An ode to Africville. It all began on the Campbell Road around 1836, like a movement from the 1800s until the 1960s. They say that a school was located there as early as 1785, with the Reverend Charles Inglis like a guardian at its side, from whence a small community was cultivated and formed. In Canada, on the north side of the Halifax Peninsula, it was born. A group of founding fathers, mothers, sons and daughters hastened to locate themselves on the southern shore of this part of the Bedford Basin. They were children of the Revolution and the War of 1812, loyal to the English crown and to the ideals of freedom as well. Almost 200 years before, they had been carried beyond their borders, across the Atlantic Ocean, to a new world and social order. But now they gathered at New York Harbour with excitement. They shivered. Due to the Treaty of Paris, their relocation was signed, sealed and delivered. They boarded ships chartered by English King George III, guided by faith to live in a land of which they'd barely heard. Around 3,000 of them were censored, numbered and recorded in the Book of Negroes, where at last their freedom was afforded. Now they sailed away to the promise of a new way of life, to be free, toward another new world full of potentiality. These people were like a new trend, a new fashion, a new vogue. It was off to Canada, where their migration was twofold, the first in 1783 and the second in 1812, with the largest population in Birchtown near Shelbourne as well. But one particular settlement in another way grew and grew. Determined to take a stand and make its mark through and through, it evolved to become a nationalism of unity and pride, and a new symbol of Black Canadian identity was recognised. They called themselves African Nova Scotians. Their suburb became proudly known as Africville. A little bit of the First Nations claimed for the motherland, a little Africa. But was it really Africa or not? Over the course of time, some thought so, but others not. It's just a part where the colour folks live, and where the rest began to rot. With a few seeds and some tools, they set their shoulders to the plough, to work, to sow, to build and grow, as only they knew how. But the land was hard, infertile, and the jobs low paid and few. They scratched their heads. They were confused and didn't quite know what to do. They had suffered the heat of one type of hell and now the cold of another. Then realised that this new kind of hell had just frozen over. Only a third had regular jobs, and though others got to travel, the work seemed to mirror the old kind of enslavement, but only, this time, without the shackles. This hell continued into the 20th century. A new wave had begun, as the sewage, prisons and factories transformed Africville into a slum. Not a wave that would bring improvements, but would signal that it's time for Africville to be blown away to the ending of its life. The first wave came in the month of December 1917, when the Halifax explosion saw the French and Norwegians convene. The second attempt was more premeditated and final, as Africville's infrastructure saw no investment and it fought for survival. By the 1960s, plans came in the name of urban renewal, they said, but it did nothing to provide economic opportunities, just disguising as urban decay. With little political power, they knew that little to nothing could be done, and the Rose Report ratified in favour of their relocation. From 1964 to 67, the painful process had begun. Without ceremony, eulogy or tributes, homes were bulldozed one by one. Many thought racism was the motive for the destruction and demise. With little compensation, housing projects seemed purposeless and sterile. Over the course of the next 4 decades, the mayor of Halifax asked, "What should we do?" So along with the Africville Museum, the settlement was declared a historic site in 2002. And so, also with a replica of the United Baptist Church and a memorial park called Seaview. The Africa Genealogy Society keeps the legacy alive to this day, to serve as a reminder of the past so it never fades away. It still reminds us all of the need to preserve, protect and repair this little part of the land of Canada to show that Africa is still there.